Okay, now it's going.
Okay.
Is it good now? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Shoot, now I can't look at my posts. Uh-oh. Okay. So Jigsaw Post week 3.
Okay.
Okay.
A through D. Like definitely. Sorry, there's really bad feedback.
What we're talking about.
Can't deal with it.
Ooh. Is it any better?
No, I'm trying to use it. Somebody else talk. I'll figure it out. Sorry.
I don't think anybody's is any better.
Okay, so picture books and graphic novels. We should talk about the tunnel reading, and then the C and D have the comic and graphic novel reading. So should we start with the tunnel? Yeah.
Sure. Are we discuss that?
What? What was that?
Are we starting with the individual Jigsaw stuff?
Yeah, we're gonna start with the tunnel reading and talking about chapter, what was it, 7? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
7 and 9. Okay, so for Sarah and I's question, we were just supposed to like talk about the categories of picture books and then say the criteria to finding them, and I was a bit confused. I mean, obviously it was clear what the type of picture books were, but there wasn't specific criteria for picking each one. It just kind of said what teachers normally do. Sarah, did you find anything super specific?
I'm not sure if I know exactly what you're talking about, but like here on page 53, it says 3 criteria help define this type of ABC book. And I kind of just got that from the text where they were like books fall into a lot of different categories. And I think the general descriptions would help us identify.
Okay, so they didn't. I found that the criteria for the ABC books, but we were just kind of supposed to infer what the criteria were for the other ones. Because there's those 3 rules or whatever for choosing ABC books, but then there's 9 other types of picture books that it doesn't give specific criteria for. So I was just wondering if you like extended on that at all.
I think my understanding kind of just went with the general descriptions of them as useful for categories.
Yeah. Well, that in the document, the Joy, 2 pages after the list of books that we had to read.
Yeah.
So that could be like the general one.
Yeah, was that the criteria?
You can kind of identify. Yeah. I think that's sort of what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
I didn't realize there were so many different types that you could categorize into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially I thought it was interesting how they said that wordless picture books could also be used in higher grades, and I thought that was really interesting. It's cool to see that in action because I've seen a wordless picture book used in the kindergarten classroom, but not in anything other than beyond first grade or something.
I've seen where you can give a picture book, a wordless picture book, and have the students kind of create their own stories based on this picture book, and kind of it goes into more of some story development and speaking, I guess. And you kind of get to, it's more of a verbal storytelling rather than the written. seen it that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who had B?
I did. I guess this was all about like folktales and then the universal nature of folklore. That was pretty interesting because there's like what, 6 or 7 different versions of Cinderella that were listed in the tunnel reading. So I don't know. It's just kind of cool to see how, depending on the culture, there's still that experience or like behavior that stays the same over and over again.
Yeah, and that folklore kind of, it explores so many different types of characters and plots and themes, and it was saying that like there really isn't one that hasn't been explored by folk tales and fairy tales, but that they're all seen across cultures, like you were saying. That you know, even though there's differences across the cultures, they're also very similar.
Right. And then there was the different kind of categories, kind of like the picture books. And so some of them were just like basic. I'm gonna build upon this story. Or there was like the morals and lessons kind of stories.
Mm-hmm. And I really like how in both chapters they have like a list of all these different resources. Like for chapter 7, it went into each of the categories and then listed like specific books that you can read to kids at the very end. And I feel like that's probably my favorite part about this book. And I think I saw in some gut reactions, I know it was mine, like how resourceful this book can be once we actually become teachers. Because
for sure.
Yeah, it's like a hard copy other than like websites that is really hard to keep access.
Yep.
Let's see. Caitlin, you want to talk about your question a little bit?
Sure. Sorry, this is hearing background noise. So mine is just like a brief history behind graphic novel and comics, which I thought was kind of interesting because I don't really know much about either. And until I read this week, and then when I was in high school, I read Born Chinese. But other than that, I'm not very like I don't know how to describe. I haven't read that. It was interesting where everything came from, and basically it talks about how like modern day graphic novels and comics basically are an extension of like way back when there was like hieroglyphics and like Greek pottery and stuff. Like, over time, like they progressed and they added like more dialogue and the pictures were more expensive to reflect like the stories. And it also talked about how there's kind of an expansion of the type of story that's being told through graphic novel and comics. Like instead of just the typical like superhero type story, there's more diverse and extensive content like with the Epilis. I forget the other name of for this week.
The Silence of Our Friends.
Yeah, that one. that was pretty much mine was about the history, but all of it.
Haida and I both read The Silence of Our Friends, and it was, from reading Haida's post, it was really difficult for both of us. to work through.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I talked with Alexis about how your guys did the other one, Persepolis, was in black and white too, but there's a lot of speech bubbles in this one, and I found myself really struggling to know which one to move to at what point and how to follow the story exactly, and if I should be paying less attention to the actual text on the page and just let the pictures tell the story for me.
Yeah, that's what I talked about in mine because the author described the way that text can be read. So people either look at the text and then read the text first, go to the image, and then read the text, or they look at the image and then they read the text and then look at the image again, or there's like a whole mixture. It's really hard because I actually have read a couple of manga books and like graphic novels, whatever comic books growing up, and it's hard. I like totally understand because there's some Japanese manga books where you read like this and this is the front of the book. Yeah, so you like read it backwards, and then for them, like even though you turn the page this way, you still start at the right.
Oh.
So yeah, it's hard, but yeah, I didn't read that one. The other one, I had it on PDF, so it was like fine, but yeah, I just couldn't.
At times, like I found myself kind of getting lost with like where to go in that way, but like it had like lines across the top of pictures to kind of set the scene almost, and then it kind of had the bubbles and all of her
Yeah, no, I feel like the reason why I had such an easy time reading that was because I've had like read graphic novels before, but I feel like it's really nice because for me when I read graphic novels, like you don't have to constantly read about the setting, like it's in the picture, and all that is on the text is like what they're thinking or what they're saying to each other. So yeah, it's like really good integration. But yeah, I thought another thing that was interesting was how a lot of comics are being streamed online now, which is how I found that other one, and it's actually like putting comic publishers, like businesses at risk because people are scanning and translating online and then sending them to each other, so that but also like that creates a whole nother thing because people can just make comics online without a publisher like approving it. So then that like opens up this whole door of like who has to approve these books for it to be published, and if without since they're putting it on the internet, they don't have to have it approved by anyone. So the reading talks about how like it kind of strays away from a superhero, and then there's like ones where the female are like seen as like strong characters, which I feel is super important for kids. And on the website that Joy posted too, they had like this really big list of like graphic novels that kids in certain ages could be reading, and there's one called The Babysitter's Club, which like I know personally I would have loved to read because we were kids. So I feel like because of the fact that they're more like attainable for a broader like audience, I don't know, there's like a more broader like topic selection other than just superheroes.
Yeah, it's grown a lot of the interest in how easy it is to read with the pictures than just having pages and pages of text.
Yeah.
And I really felt like added to the story. Like I don't think I would have thought as much as like Persepolis if it was just a regular novel. Like I feel like
yeah, we like can't hear you.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we just get like every other word or so.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Good. I was just saying how like the graphics in Persepolis really helped me like understand what she's going through, and or at least from like my perspective from like an outsider perspective. But they really helped me with visualizing the story. Because if they weren't there, I don't think they would have gotten as much out of it.
Yeah.
For the, I don't know if you guys watched the like extra video about the panel of the people who were talking about graphic novels, and then the other guy who was like video chatted into the panel. I thought it was interesting that he said that it's not the typical student you would think who's reading graphic novels, because like I know growing up I always thought like the kids who enjoy comics and like anime and stuff like that are reading these graphic novels, and I guess that's because that's kind of more what the graphic novels were about at that time. But I always thought like, oh, you're kind of a quiet, reserved person if you're reading the graphic novels, and like, what are you learning from them? But then the author who was video chatted in, he's the author of Bones, and he said it's actually the opposite. The students with a higher reading level and like they're challenging themselves more with this type of text, and that was clear for me when I was trying to read it because I really struggled with it. So.
One question I was thinking to myself when I was reading the graphic novel is like if you could ever use it as a read, or are they specifically meant to be like independent reading?
I feel like a read aloud would be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Just because like a read aloud is typically like the teacher is holding the text in front of them and the students aren't really getting to see the actual pictures, and like this would be super hard to show someone like, here, have all 30 students look at this little picture and understand how the conversation went through the pictures. Right. It might be easier in Persepolis though, because I didn't read that one.
I think the way that we can do that would be to have different students with different characters, kind of like a play, and have it on a projector for the whole class. That would be really interesting. But I definitely agree, like the logistical issues of like holding up this little book wouldn't work. But I think have the right tools to like change the format of it. I think that could be a really cool idea.
Yeah, you could definitely put it like on a doc cam and then like somehow like, I don't know, show your students like how you're going through it, I guess, and how you're reading it. And, I don't know.
Have them take
that could work.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
What was that? I couldn't hear.
You could have like, if you're going to do that, put on the doc cam and have like Sarah, I think you were talking about this, kind of have it like a play, and each certain number of students are each assigned to a certain character in the graphic novel, and they read it as they were having a conversation like in front of the class.
I think that's also a really good way to make like more theatrical things accessible by like bridging the gap between just reading like lines of a play versus reading a graphic novel. I'd never thought of that before. So that sounds like a cool idea.
So I'll put that down as one of our muddy questions. What's the best way to incorporate this into a read aloud situation?
Yeah.
Should we talk about the children's books? I mean, I guess we kind of have.
Yeah, I'd love to.
McDonald's.
So cute. Yeah, I really liked it. That was cute.
The marigold one, I just couldn't stop, or Marisol. I couldn't stop smiling through that whole book. I was just like laughing in my room.
I really liked how it was in Spanish and English. But so I just YouTubed it and I like heard someone read it to me. But it was actually really difficult doing it because the first video I watched, it was the person would read in English and then Spanish, and then like I just kept. And then every time they would read in Spanish, I didn't understand what they were saying, so I kept spacing out. So then I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on when she would go to the next page and read in English. So then I saw another video where she just read it in English, and I actually got the story that time. And it just makes me wonder, like, if people would have that same experience, or if not even people, just like students, and how different it would be if it was like read in Korean to me, like a language that I actually know and understand. So.
I did the same thing, and actually felt the same way, that it was like difficult to watch it, like right after the other, because like trying to decode what she's saying, and then you have lost what's actually happening on the next page.
The question. Well, what will you say?
But I lost what I was gonna say.
I think it's super important to have books like that, though, despite, my experience, because, like, I feel like the reason why I felt like that is because English is my first, like, not my first language, but, like, English is my dominant language, and, like, I'm most comfortable speaking in English before, like, a student who speaks in Spanish. I feel like as a kid, I can't even imagine, like, how it would feel, like, reading a book like that and, like, seeing a book with Spanish on it, which is why I really liked it, despite, like, my own personal, like, struggles with it.
I just wonder, like, if it would be more helpful to read it like the first girl did, like, where you read it in English and then Spanish, English, Spanish, English, Spanish every page, or if you should read it, like, all in English and then read it a second time all in Spanish, and then you can kind of, like, discuss after both times, or, I don't know which would be the better way to do it.
My question.
Oh, you can go.
I think she was saying it's a muddy question.
Yeah, because I think that would be good, because for me, as I was reading this book too, like, I was wondering, like, how would you, like, would you just read a book like this in, like, one, how would you read it if you don't know how to read Spanish and speak it so that Spanish speaking students can understand you? And two, like, would you like, let's say you can read it in Spanish, like the girl that I watched on YouTube do, like, are you just going to do that and that's it? And that's it? As it is? Or are you going to take the time to, like, talk to the students, no matter the age, like, about why it's in Spanish and English, and, like, I don't know, it's like one of those things where I wonder if you're going to just read it and move on, or read it and, like, deconstruct a little bit with the students, regardless of the age. But yeah.
In my 480 practicum, I was in a kindergarten classroom, and my student that I was working with for, like, the 6 weeks, he was a English language learner, and he could speak Spanish, and that was his first language that he talked at home with all of his siblings, cousins, everyone. And so the very first read aloud book that I brought to him was called Soap, 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 Jabón, 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 and that's soap in Spanish. And the words, Spanish words, were kind of intertwined throughout the book. So, like, every 6 words there would be a Spanish version of it. And even though he couldn't read the Spanish words, because he can't read Spanish, but he can speak it, even though he couldn't read them, it was like I saw that he got excited that someone else knew Spanish and could read it to him, and it was just like it helped him relate to the text a little bit more, especially since it was, like, about a little boy doing chores and stuff. So I think it's super important for us to have books like this, because even if a student does not speak Spanish and they pick this book up, they can take it to an ELL student in their classroom and they can partner read it. And I think that would be a really cool thing to have them do. Like, one student reads this side, and then one student reads this side, or, like Alexa said, read it all the way through in English for one student, and then the Spanish speaker can read it. And they'll still know what's going on and be working together to figure that out.
Backwards. I would see Spanish first. Well, see if I could figure.
Like, can you speak in your?
I just, like, drop the ball. Try to, like, read all of it.
Do you guys have headphones, or is it just, like, my computer?
I think that your computer is picking up the sounds from outside, because it shows on the screen where they hear sounds, and even when like Caitlin or Yahada is talking, it keeps going to us. Yeah, from the cars outside. I mean, there's nothing we can do. Sorry, Joy.
I know.
We tried.
I'm trying to because I can hear myself saying what I just said.
Yeah, I can hear that too. So it's like super frustrating to talk over myself.
I think the moral of that story was really important too. Like, I feel like there's so many biracial students, and I think just seeing that their experiences can be validated through a book like that is super important.
It was so funny. I was reading your post, and you said that like you grew up listening to rock music, playing softball, and like riding quads, and that's literally the exact same thing that I said in my post. I was like, oh, we're kind of twins.
Yeah.
But it's like I really liked how it specifically mentioned her heritage and her skin tone and everything in a super positive way to let kids know that, hey, it's okay and it's normal and it's acceptable, and this little girl is confident about who she is and about who her family is, and her friends like her better because of her differences, and they think she's they think it's weird when she's trying to be exactly like them.
And I think I like thought the story would end after her teacher said that to her, but I really liked how the story went further into her finding like a similarity with someone, just like not even like with an animal, because I feel like with people who do have experiences and backgrounds like she does, like being biracial or like being a part of a marginalized group, like they crave to like find people and things and environments where they feel like they share like experiences with. And so I thought that was really important, and it was so adorable too. Like, I thought she just picked a dog because it was a dog, but like she saw herself in something, and like felt connected to it, which I thought was really cool.
Definitely.
Yes.
Mismatched and simply marvelous, just like me.
Yeah.
I think I'll name him Kitty.
Yeah, that was so cute. I know.
Hi, I saw that you mentioned, like, I noticed this when I was reading it too, but I didn't even think to, like, put it in my post. Why does this author put text, like, it looks like it's a Spanish newspaper, into the clothing of the people in the book?
Yeah,
Like,
I was trying to. I couldn't figure it out. They faded.
Yeah.
And like in the soccer ball. On this page.
Yep.
And
well, and then it says, like, it says a little blurb about the illustrator. It says her buoyant prose is perfectly matched by Sarah Palacios' mixed media illustrations. But I wish they would have gone into a little bit more depth of the purpose of the mixed media. Because there has to be something, right? You wouldn't. There's got to be a point.
I mean, there has to be a reason for her to stick it. It's not just like oh, I found a newspaper. I'm gonna stop.
Maybe that could be a question. Maybe not even about this book specifically, but like how can we kind of tease out the meanings and illustrations? And like how can that be discussions with students?
I don't remember what reading it was in, but I feel like I remember like reading kind of about like we're supposed to when we're evaluating text, kind of take into account like question like what medias did they use, or like what what did they do in their images, and like what choices did the illustrator make. And so I mean, I don't know how, when we're asking those questions though, I don't know like what to do about that. Like how do you find those answers, Do you Google it?
Yeah. This is such a small part of
Maybe.
of the illustration.
Yeah.
I mean, her skirt on the second is like a nutritional like label on something. It's I don't know. It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah, I feel like this is more abstract than illustrations. Because before you mentioned that, Alexis, I was mostly thinking about in terms of like is illustration like stereotyping, you know? Like just piecing together like a cow and like I don't know, like Chinese food or whatever, and like being like it's all the same. But I really like taking of like what media are they using and more detailed.
Yeah.
Well, because that's a part of literacy in general. I mean, we learn about mentor texts and stuff, so like books like these can be perfect mentor texts to kind of investigate that. The moves that the author and the illustrator are making.
Right.
What else do we need to talk about? There isn't really, like, that's enough. Did you guys watch any of the extra like videos? She posted one, the MTV White Privilege, and there was like this song that Beyonce sang.
Oh yeah.
Behind her.
Oh,
Yeah, you watched that? I saw that you like mentioned the White Privilege song by Macklemore, and that's a really good song.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to like listen to it fully until yesterday and like look at the lyrics because I couldn't find anywhere where they used it in there at the same time. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super awesome.
I like how they have the specific like newscast, the voice of the people in that song. That it's like that's the part of the song that really hits home for me because I'm like, wow, these people are so ignorant and they totally are exemplifying white privilege and they don't even notice it or want to acknowledge that they have white privilege whatsoever.
Yeah, or like it's clear that they don't really understand. Really.
Yeah.
I tried to take the implicit bias test, but it didn't make any sense to me.
I took it and it said that I was like I had a slight or whatever they called it towards
bias?
Yeah, towards African American people, which was really I was like, okay, that's good.
Well, I think that's before, but not that was one of the things. I can't remember what my results were. That test is interesting.
What'd you say? Can you say that again? Sorry, because like we can't hear anything. It's picking up my window right next to us.
Oh, I was just saying. I took that for this class. I took it like fun a while ago.
Oh, so you took it a while ago, but you can't remember the result.
Yeah.
It was a long test.
It was.
Yeah.
I also wonder though how accurate are those things because like those pictures that it showed at the end, like how was that telling me my biases towards people of color? Like I don't understand. That's just me being able to click a button.
Yeah.
Correctly.
I wondered that too.
Have enough like I don't know.
Is it like speed or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's how quickly and accurately you can associate a characteristic with a negative attribute. Like if you're quicker, like if you're doing like people with good things and you actually with negative things, it's like, oh, that's an implicit bias. Right?
I think that was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? It's kind of short this week, but I feel like we've hit on the major books and stuff that we focused on.
I feel like we're good. We're kind of
Yeah.
We're grasping.
Sweets.
All right.
Bye.
I don't know how to end this.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.